What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you and showing you as much as I can about our GSR bug build. I've had the car since high school. For a majority of its life that I owned it, it sat in a field. Recently, I got rid of my other car, and that got me thinking about this thing again. So we brought it to the shop, started looking at it, brainstorming, and ended up deciding we wanted to put a Honda motor in it. So we started with Acura GSR. It ran and drove. Buddy got teamboat in a parking lot, so we got it for a good price. Started by cutting the front end off. We had no idea how we were going to fasten it to the Bug chassis or if that was the plan at all, but we knew we needed the mounts as a reference point and didn't have room for the whole car. So we started by cutting it off and went from there. The floor pans on the Bug were trashed, so we put new ones on and then started focusing on the front end of the Integra again. What we ended up doing is just getting thick metal and essentially built a little frame on the front end of the Integra bay, and then leveled it, squared it as best we could. We cut a hole or a slot in the Bug tube and then essentially squared that and welded it in. This entire project has been a guessing game. I mean, we're not fabricators. We've never done anything like this before. So every step we took was a learning process, and that's why this project took so long, because we don't know what we're doing. But we got the chassis together and we got it squared as best we could, and then we started doing reinforcements and just kept thinking of how to make it stronger. Fortunately, I have a lot of friends who are professional fabricators, so I had a few of them stop by, look at the project, and they gave us their 2 cents. So based on what they told us, we reinforced it as best we could and got to the point where we were comfortable with it, tested it as best we could, and it seemed strong. So then we were ready to put the motor in. Our cherry picker was not with us for some reason, so luckily the car was light enough we were able to pick the rear of it up and set it on top of the motor. So once that was in, the next step was to test fit the body. The body I'd had since high school, we cut up and more or less ruined it. So we threw that away, and a friend told me about another body for sale, and it was straight, and so we grabbed that. Unfortunately, again, since this is all a learning process, we just eyeballed this and thought we needed to cut the rear of the Bug off, later finding out we didn't have to. But so we set it on the chassis. We needed to cut a little bit more out of the wheel wells, and after that was done, it slid right on. Once the body was on, we started looking at it and realized that we should have designed the frame off the Integra front end to set the motor higher. It did look kind of goofy, and we did have, probably about 4 or 5 inches that we could have set the motor up. But we didn't do that, so we're living with it. Next, I bought drop spindles and a disc brake conversion. That didn't put the car as low as I wanted, so then I went down the street and got a adjustable front beam. So what that allows us to do is pretty much just adjust the height of the front suspension with 2 bolts. So we did that. While I was doing that, Dennis was working on shift linkage. Shift linkage we overthought a lot, and all we ended up having to do was basically we made a U off the shift linkage and just sent it forward. So since the engine bay was still facing the same direction as it would in the Integra, front and back were still the same side to side, we overthought it and did something really simple, and it ended up working great. After shift linkage was done, we locked steering in the rear and then started to focus on fuel and cooling. We sent the radiator up in the front. We sent 2 aluminum pipes underneath the car and then flex lines from those pipes to the radiator. Made a quick radiator bracket and made sure it cleared the hood and leveled it and called it good. We weren't sure if the stock Honda water pump was enough to send coolant all the way back to the motor, so M-Spec Performance had a used electric water pump they only had on their drift car for 1 season. Said it worked great, so we mounted that in line with one of the hoses and called it good. Next, for fuel, we went to PFI Speed and got an external fuel pump, made a quick fancy bracket for it, and then hooked up all the fuel lines, and at this point we were ready to try and start it. Okay. Camera crew come here on Monday, so we're gonna try and clean all this up real quick. We're gonna dip the ECU cover, valve cover, oil cap, spark plug cover, and the strut bar, sway bar thingy. So we're doing all that now. We're gonna start cleaning it up and getting it ready for paint. And gas tank and throttle body should be coming soon, and then it'll be running and driving. So just cut this piece of stainless steel earlier, and then cut a little hole for the ECU wires just to hide all the, let's see if I can get it up, just to hide all the garbage for now and make it look nice for the film crew. There's a lot of that we're going to be cutting out, but for now I'm just shoving it under there and hiding it. But looks pretty nice. ECU will be mounted right there, and then I'll stick the battery right there, make some fasteners for it. Should look pretty good when it's all done. Paint the roll cage soon, clean up the interior, paint all of it. And most of the mechanical stuff is done. I just got to finish up some wiring for the Honda speedometer and get a new steering wheel because that's disgusting. But yeah, we'll keep you posted. Here are all the parts that we're going to be doing. Everything's primed. So I got the base colors that I want, and all these, those are going to stay that gray. The ECU cover is going to be carbon, so it's black. And then on these 4 pieces, I'm doing that crypto camo. It's just a black and clear camo. So it should all look pretty good. I'm going to get ready to cut the film, and then I'll show you some dip videos and see how it all turns out. After hydro dipping the parts, you need to rinse them off. The film leaves a slime, so you need to get rid of that with hot water. I usually let the parts dry for 12 to 24 hours, just let all the chemicals air out, and then I lay 3 to 4 coats of clear depending on the part. The clear is safe to handle after 1 day. I typically try to wait 2, just let it get a little bit harder, and then it's ready to roll. While all this was happening, the throttle cable I'd been waiting for showed up. So we rigged a super janky pedal assembly that we're going to be changing out soon, but this should be enough to see if it'll drive on its own. Alright, finished clear coating everything, get everything put back on the car. ECU cover, valve cover, spark plug cover, oil cap, sway bar, strut tower bar, whatever you want to call it. Looks good. Finally looks all cleaned up. Body is all one color now. We found some more dents that we need to fill in, some different spots we already bondoed that we gotta perfect and kind of clean up. But it's all one color. It's kind of pretty. It hasn't looked this good in a while. So I'm excited. Let's get close. How am I on stuff?
Go straight back. I can't believe it's driving.
Huh?
Just don't turn the wheels too much. They hit the frame. Just easy when you turn.
I can't tell where the wheels are at because the steering wheel's facing that way.
Okay, that's straight. Yeah.
I have no brakes at all.
That's awesome.
You gotta pump it like 10 times for it
To stop. Welder. There you have it, folks.
So that's where the Bug sits as of now. Moves under its own power. We do have a handful of drivability issues to work out, but this has been a huge step forward. Stay tuned for the next video. We should have a new pedal assembly in and should be on the road driving.